There you go. Kansas City Nights, the podcast, episode 1. I'm Shannon Gieber.
I'm Brian Rice.
Brian, who do we have with us today?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Patrick McBride of Hourcast, Paved in Skin, and Rock Show. We're going to have like a script going forward so we can like...
Notes are good.
And a part-time zero.
Man, I would love to be. I tried to work my way into the band. I've showed up to load in, tear down. Like, yeah, you know, it would be kind of fun, you know. But those guys, I mean, they just had the 20th anniversary show, which, of course, I got to sing a couple with them, which always honored to jam with them. Yeah, they got their thing. They don't need another asshole in the mix. Not saying they're assholes. Yeah. I'm saying I would be no.
Yeah, they do have their thing though. But it's great. That show is great because they brought up a lot of people on stage. They sang with them for 20 years.
It was beautiful to listen to everybody sing, and the crowd was amazing. I got some drone footage of the crowd, and you know, the line outside, it was like, whoa, it felt like Purple Jam again.
Right. Hey, there's another good one right there that you sang
Jam. Every year.
Yeah,
and ladies and gentlemen, we, of course, in case most people who are listening to this podcast will intuitive or inherently know the Zeros, Kansas City's new wave 80s band. They're basically really the band that, for me, really showed what a cover band could do.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as production and the showmanship, because all the other cover bands I'd seen up to that point were just kind of, you know, a bunch of, you know, the production was lacking, shall we say. It was just like, you know,
Charlie and Stingrays, Disco Dick and the Mirrorballs. Those, you know, but the Zeros came along.
Yeah, they took it to another level and stuff, and then of course, what was the other band we just named? Or Purple Jam. Yeah, Purple Jam is.
Tyson Leslie.
Sort of feels like it's every other. Well, sometimes it's an every other year. Tyson always makes it sound like it's the last one, and then all of a sudden at the end of the show, we just booked next year's one.
It's always big surprise.
A good old tribute to Prince. That's been a huge success, and so Patrick gets up and sings some Prince songs with them too. So at that show too.
What songs do you do at Purple Jam?
So it changes every year.
Whatever Tyson feels like letting him have.
I mean, I think he thinks of the singer and says, you know, whose voice is going to be good. The first year he had me do Sexy Motherfucker. I think the next year I did, he had me do Jack You Off. And I think I did Little Red Corvette that year.
I would hope so.
And then he had me do Little Red Corvette again this year. But yeah, man, that one was fun. That first one, we had no idea it was going to be so huge. But the timing was incredible because Prince had just died in April.
Right.
On my fucking birthday.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Not.
Yeah, so first year was off the chain. I mean, nobody expected it was going to be as big as it was, and it was huge. And then the next year it was okay, and then I feel like...
What was a great idea was to have a mini set of songs as tributes to recently deceased artists who died that year.
That's right.
But there was no MC to get up there and announce what they were doing. They just got up and started playing, and it's like, okay, Guy Hodson singing Glenn Frey, Smuggler's Blues, I think it was the song he did. Or one of what's his other one of his other biggest hits? Not Smuggler's Blues, but.
The Heat is on.
The Heat is on.
The Heat is on. They did The Heat is on.
Yeah, he killed it.
But nobody got up, so it's like, and I talked to somebody, like, what the hell is this? I thought this was Prince. This isn't Prince. And I was trying to explain, no, they're doing a mini set to the, but they were done at that point. So there was a little bit of that. But it was a great concept. I mean, obviously they've carried it over. I think they corrected that. I think they kind of got somebody made it a point to explain in later years, hey, now we're going to do some songs from other recently deceased. And then Deanne gets up and does Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, God, that stole the show.
Right.
Top
notch, man. Top notch.
So well done.
You can say what you want. We could edit it out, so you don't need to. You could be as lewd as you want.
No, I've already told Deanne I will not yell "You're so hot" at her while she's singing. It's inappropriate, is what it is. So, just going back to when I recently saw you, man, the way you work a crowd is so good. You're just right on the front of that stage, just grabbing, reaching for people while you're singing.
Yeah, man.
And you draw them in is what you do. And let alone you sounded fantastic.
Thank you.
When you were singing.
Thank you.
I do. And jumping back on top of that to Purple Jam, I did think you were the best guy that got up and sang that night. Well, Deanne, obviously Deanne stole the show with that. But as far as the pure singing, you did Little Red Corvette and Baby, and I do wish that I had the wherewithal in the weeks leading up to that, because I could play Baby I'm a Star. I mean, that's not a tough song to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if I would have pushed it, I could have got put on that song
next
with
year.
you.
It's got to happen.
You should have.
I know.
Or we'll be
the guy
disappointed.
the guy that did play it was another one of Go-Go's students, as I understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like regretting that I just, for whatever reason, my head wasn't in it in those weeks leading up to it.
So there was a lot going on that night. I mean,
they probably didn't want to
have
deal.
a break, I don't know. I was there. Arm wrestling girls in the crowd.
I saw that picture.
Later.
I sent him the photo.
Look at that.
Arm wrestling.
We were watching a video of Shannon arm wrestling.
I'm giving it the old
woman.
Like, okay. I tried for just a moment, and then
this is how he was wrestling.
Then he mysteriously got distracted.
Yes.
We don't know why.
Oh, and there's John Roy. You know what? John Roy was another one. John Roy Henderson of KCDC. He did a great job. He always
kills it.
Yeah.
Nobody does a better Brian Johnson than he does, man.
No.
He is all over it.
Right at all. And
look, the
Platinum Rock Legends. Oh, hey. Did that happen as well? You're going to have to send me that, Doug.
I did.
Thank you. That's not my urine on the... Did she kiss me?
Yeah.
I'm
showing you the clip right
Talk about blacking out.
What happened? Play that. It's just a still.
Oh, this is gonna wait. Oh yeah, they're.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I would like to make it known that was I kissed two girls that night.
You did.
I did.
That one and who else?
The girl I'm seeing right now.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. Yes. And you met her at the show?
Yes, I did.
Wow, good for you.
We're still seeing each other. I haven't scared her off.
Congratulations!
Yet, but there's always time for that.
That's fantastic.
So, enough about me, though. How about you? You're from Minnesota, is that right?
Oh, geez, yeah. Don't you know?
What city?
Oh, boy. White Bear Lake.
Oh, okay, White Bear Lake. Yeah.
White Bear Lake, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was there for, till I graduated. I always played in bands, since I was in high school.
Okay.
And I was
singer, or did you play any other instruments?
No, I played a little bit of guitar, and that's kind of how it happened. I met this buddy in choir because I thought choir would be helpful for my voice. Not helpful at all for rock singing, but I even lettered in choir.
Oh wow!
I got a letter jacket.
I never knew that.
And you don't.
Do you still have that jacket?
No, you don't. You don't wear that around school. You're not going to date the prom queen wearing a choir letter jacket.
That was before the nerd culture kind of overtook and became the predominant.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
it was not cool.
Now it's like the cool thing. It's almost cooler than being a jock.
Yeah, and we danced and we did all sorts of. Right. Yeah, it was like it was the varsity choir. And then I'll never forget I tried to get my cover band, or my band at the time, we had some originals covers, to play the variety show at my high school. And of course these guys were older than me, so they pregame at a house and everyone's drinking, and we show up to the rehearsal thing with beer on our breaths in high school. And the choir director's like, everybody in here smells like vodka, and somebody from the back's like, it's just beer. And we didn't get to play. We got kicked out, and it sucked because then it's like, word gets around. McBride showed up drunk at the whatever.
You could rep.
I mean, we're
street cred.
17, 18. We were kids just fucking around and having a good time. And but yeah, that happened. So that wasn't cool. But yeah, always played in bands, and then I left town with a cover band.
How far away is your hometown from Minneapolis, as far as just a frame of reference?
40 minutes.
Yeah, it's like a suburb.
Yeah.
It's like Bonner Springs to.
Okay.
Well, KC is similar in that, KC is Kansas and Missouri, so it spans the state line. Well, St. Paul and Minneapolis are right next to each other as well, so that's hence the Twin Cities, right? They just whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, got out of there with a cover band.
Right out of high school, 18.
Yeah, I got out. Yeah, graduated and then started going on this cover band circuit, and then I met this girl on the road in Iowa, and she was from Kansas City.
Okay.
And so I moved down to Kansas City to be with her.
Mm-hmm. She brought you. That's how you got to Kansas City to begin with.
Right. And then we broke up, and I fucking stayed. I stayed.
That's a good place.
What made you stay? Did you just come to you just had put down roots that were. You put down sufficient roots to decide you wanted to stay instead of going back home?
Yeah, I had started a band already, and it was cool living in a different city and getting out of home. I didn't know what I would do back at home. I felt like I'd kind of went through everything I was going to do, so it's exciting to change cities and try to do something down here. So yeah, we played for a while, and I played. Then I ended up in Paved in Skin, and we did all that stuff. It was some of the guys from the same band. And then we broke up, and I was like, I started working at music stores with Adam Lavella.
Okay.
Big
dudes.
Sponsor of this mic that I'm on right now.
The Lavella Brand Group.
And I remember Adam saying to me, he's like, you just came into the music store one day and said, hey, man, what do you got to do to get a job like this? And I told you a few things. The next thing I know, you were working at the store across town. And then we ended up working together at Mars Music.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then I was like, at that point, I was reaching. I'd always said 30 was going to be the number. Like, I'm going to stop trying to do whatever. But that number comes up fucking quick. And I was working a job at a wireless mic. I was a rep. I could have had a career there, I'm sure. But I had this profile up online at the time that had a few demo songs. And this band from fucking Boston gets a hold of me and says, we're looking for a singer to put this thing together. We'd like you to come audition. And if it works out, you move to Boston, you be in this band. And, they had a salary for you already. And it was like, well, yeah. So I go out to audition. I fly to Boston, and wouldn't you know it, it's like a record snowstorm that they had just had. So I had to delay the flight by a day. I get into Boston. It's like 4 fucking feet of snow. And they send a Hummer at the time, which is brand new, to pick me up and drive me back to the compound where the band's at. And I met these guys sight unseen. We shot the shit for a while. Then I went into the studio. I already knew how to work Pro Tools and shit, so far better than them. As a matter of fact,
from working at Mars,
just teaching myself that shit, and so I ended up writing 2 songs on the spot, lyrics, melodies, and then I recorded it all and basically finished a mix of it. And what was funny is they're fucking typical band guys. Like, everyone's engaged, at first and listening, and and then I just kind of go off and start doing my own thing, and one by one, people start leaving the studio, right? First the guitar player is like, oh, hey man, I'll be back in a minute, and then he's fucking gone. Hours go by, and then the manager leaves. He's got it, and then I was in there with the drummer, and the drummer fucking leaves. So now I'm in a studio in another city where I don't fucking know anybody, and nobody's there but me.
Jeez.
And I was like, what do I do? Right. So I finished these fucking songs, to throw a mix on them, do some, effects and shit. Bring it in. I go up to the main house. They're detached from the studio, and there's the drummer laying on the fucking couch in his underwear with his hand down his pants.
Oh man.
Sleeping, passed out. And I was like, hey man, what's going on? He wakes up. Oh, what's going on? Oh yeah, sorry man. And I pop in a CD and I hit play and he goes, "What's that?" And I go, "Well, that's the 2 songs I just fucking recorded in the studio."
Wow.
And they were like, "You just did that?" And I was like, yeah. And they're like, "Fuck. All right. Oh, that's great,
now,
man."
Do you know enough to throw down drum tracks as well?
I mean, no, I couldn't play a kit to fucking out of a wet paper bag. But
me neither.
you know, I left and I was like, that was just a weird deal. I don't know how this went, and fuck it. If I don't get it, whatever. And then like a month went by and they called me and they're like, you got the gig. Here's a contract. Have a lawyer look at it.
Wow.
And I relocated to Boston, got an advance, got paid while I was there to write these records. And
so yeah, you told me this before. Like, so you had a salary which was 6 figures, correct?
Yeah,
Dang,
it was a good salary.
dog.
Yeah, it was a good salary until you moved to Boston.
Oh,
Right. Okay. Yeah. That was the
And
other
then you're
part.
like,
That was the other part.
My rent is $3,500 a month, like for a
you were living in
a
style.
one. Yeah, no, I wasn't though.
No.
Really, no.
Man, Kansas City.
Not the
I had
luxury.
bees in
Yeah,
my
I get
house
you.
and shit. No, it wasn't. But significantly higher cost of living out there. So I think they call it Texachusetts, by the way. So yeah, relocated out there, wrote, ended up being 3 records. When I moved out there,
What year did you move out there? Do you remember the specific year?
2002.
And then that came to an end.
I moved back to Kansas City in 2005.
So it was 3 years? That was it? Or I thought it was...
No, I wasn't out there for a significant amount of time because then I came home with my bass player. So this is going to be a theme, I think. And we were hanging at Buzzard Beach, and I met a girl who would end up becoming my wife.
Oh, wow. Hey. At Buzzard Beach, of all places, which could
place
have
to
a
be.
fire and still be open. That's great.
Still not winning any points with the Catholic family at this point.
So, yeah, but you did some... I mean, you had a record deal. Let's kind of keep it on Hourcast. You had a record deal, and so, wait... I thought you moved back to Kansas City in 2005, but is that when the band ended? Or
No, the band kept going.
So you were part of the band, or did they go without you, or you were part of the... Like, when did you finish? When were you done with Hourcast?
2012.
Okay, so it was like a
wow.
9-year time,
Dang.
but then you were just based out of Kansas City after those first 3 years. Okay.
I mean, we determined, like, in fact, I think I was kind of pissed in a way because, everyone has a different pace and work ethic. And I think for me, since I left, my life that I knew behind, and I'm in a new city, and I'm here with people that, I didn't know at the time, to do a job, right? And that job was create a record, create a vibe, rehearse, tour, just do the whole, all the shit you do. But everyone had very different paces in the band. Those guys lived there. I'd be like, all right, see you guys at the studio at 10. First guy would roll in at 1. We might not see some of the guys. And it got to the point where I'm like, why am I fucking living here? Like, if we're not going to be working the entire time, like, I have some kind of schedule and things like that, just call me in when you want me to write shit. Or give me a call if we're going to tour, and I'll be there.
Right.
So that ended up being what the model was.
Were you still under contract after you moved back to Kansas City?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was still under contract. So, it was just it was wild. It made sense to do it remotely, and now everybody's fucking doing it remotely.
That was probably
Everybody.
kind of controversial at the time too. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're gonna be all the way in Kansas City. Now it's almost like it's hard to get. It's like the opposite. Now it's like, well, you want me to come in the studio? Why do I need to fly out there? I can just do it here.
I work from home.
So, obviously, you prefer Kansas City over Boston.
How many?
Boston was okay. That's had its
When I was in Boston, a couple for the thing that you sent me to, that was exciting, adventurous to be in a new city and the culture of it all. It's like one of the original cities and all that in North America. But I knew like within minutes that I could never live there. It was just there was something about it. It's like it's a place to visit, but then you do the thing and then you're done. Go back home. But what I was you did some actual Hollywood produced videos with Hourcast.
We did.
Seen that.
Yeah.
How many did you? You just did just the two, and
yeah.
and then there was the one with the infamous porn star. What was it?
Jessie Jane. Yeah,
was it
nice.
Jessie Jane?
I mean, just go ahead and how was that experience?
Oh my God.
Do you want another drink before you get into that?
You know what? Let's take a break.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to be back shortly with Patrick McBride describing his experience filming a Hollywood-produced video, not with a porn star, just happens to star a porn star as a guest star. So don't get the wrong idea. All right, we'll be right back. This is Brian Rice with Shannon Gieber with Kansas City Nights. We're resuming our inaugural podcast with Patrick McBride of Hourcast. And we're just going to jump right back into where we were at, the attraction video that you filmed.
Yes.
Tell us that story. It's a fun story.
Yep. So I
don't hold back. We could edit this later if you don't. If you feel.
No, let it go. I made a video with a porn star. It was a music video. so don't get the wrong idea. I'm hung like a field mouse. No, I'm kidding. I'm not. Anyway, so did the video with Jessie Jane, and it was, the band said, we're going to do like a movie story kind of thing, and the band isn't going to be in it, but you're going to be in it, and you're going to have a co-star. And we didn't know who the co-star was going to be.
So who's they?
So this is the label and the management talking about, this is what we're going to do for the next video direction, and you're going to have a co-star, and it's going to have the storyline, and the band's not in it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So
how'd the band feel about that?
They seemed fine with it. Like, they were like, if it's a sick video.
Okay, so they were like, what about me? I'm not on camera.
Well, the first video was a performance video, which was really cool. That was called Freak Show, and that was filmed in a big circus tent where they did American Horror Story.
That's what it looks. That's the vibe of the video. Yeah, I remember it now. It was
in regards to celebrity, the Kardashians and Heidi Montag and these people that were real reality show celebrities kind of thing.
Heidi
That's
Montag,
what was poking.
wasn't she the madam of, she was the pimp or the madam of the Hollywood prostitute?
No.
Who was that? Heidi Fleiss. That's Heidi Fleiss. I'm thinking of Heidi Fleiss. Never mind.
Frank's got hookers on the brain.
That's amazing that you brought that up.
No, she was. I can't even remember what show she was in, but she was the one who was famous for getting all the plastic surgery done.
Okay.
And basically showed up the next year on the show looking like very different, and people kind of lost it.
So was Jessie Jane hot? I mean, when she came out in the video?
No, wait. Sorry, do you mean like the video is one thing, but in person? I think that's the real question.
In person.
Yeah, and very, very super sweet. Had a couple kids and a husband back home. I think he was in the industry as well. That's why it went over.
Hey,
but yeah, she was super, super nice. And
there it is.
Oh, there we go. Right there.
We are about to watch it live.
Attraction.
Look at this asshole. What was cool is I had a... so, yes, that's a burlap sack, and yes, it was very hot. Now, I'm going to preface this with, you don't really know what's going to happen. Little camera shot under the burlap. Oh. And I look at me and I say, you put way too much eyeliner on. Oh, okay. Pause.
Yeah. Okay, hang on.
All right, so
you did have a lot of eyeliner on.
I did not put that eyeliner on myself, and I didn't know, like, are they putting more on for the camera, or like what's going on? But then when I saw it in broad daylight like that, it's like too much fucking eyeliner. But that's just my 2 cents. Now, I will say this before we continue to play. The guys in the band were off camera, and that slap shot that she did, there were like 7 previous takes to that. And she would recreate that walk, bang off the head, smack.
Patrick, or Shannon's rewinding it now.
So she would recreate the smack, and it was about 8 different takes with different angles.
Did your drummer have his hands in his underwear during this whole time?
He may have been doing something different, but yeah. So so this is this whole thing, and boom. Man. And they got a nice little...
Did she make physical contact?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Did you see the other side of my face shake?
Look at a young you,
and she
dude.
kept saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm so
That's
sorry."
a 35-year-old Patrick in that?
That's a 35-year-old Patrick. Yeah.
Wow, you got a comic book too. That's great.
And it's an Hourcast comic book. And you're like,
Ah, Jesus. Them old fashions.
too many Percocets. So the guys in the band, of course, were loving. I think is this when she whips off the drink? Yeah.
What city was this shot? Because I lived in Simi
outside
Valley
of
for a
LA.
while.
This is outside of LA. A couple hours outside of LA.
Because I live in Simi Valley, and it looks like
lot of
the
shit gets shot
hills
out there.
of Simi Valley,
Yeah, it's.
or more like Solvang.
So this part's cool. So the premise of this video is, you'll find out later. But she drugs me. I wake up drugged, and I'm out in the middle of nowhere, and I wake up in shackles, and she proceeds to torture me. But look at her. I mean, she's so great on camera.
AK-47.
It's hard to make me look anything but scary, but she looks great on camera.
Yeah, no, that's real nice.
So what else about this? So those shackles were lightweight plastic, so it was hard to act like they were literally giving me any resistance. But it must have taken like an hour, 2 hours to get these shots, maybe more. And those things were freaking chafed my wrist so bad. I had to put my wrists in a cooler. I was just shaking. Okay, so here comes the first gunshot.
Oh, Christ. Bro.
All right, so...
You're getting lit up.
All right, so what happened is those are called squibs. And so they're the little things that go into your clothes. They're a little
blood
explosion.
packets, yeah.
Let me preface this. This is where she's going to inject the bottle. Let's see. This is where she drugs me. Let's see.
Oh, and so in the song, this is like, bitch, you fucking drugged me.
There's another funny little anecdote from the set. All right, here we go.
She is hot.
Yeah, here we go. So here she's injecting a bottle. And why is the shit always green? Everything you see somebody inject, it's always green. So the director's like, now push it in, now pull it out. He's like, okay, stick it in, pull it. He had her do that take a number of times with the syringe, and I was sitting on the bed in the other room, and I was like, she gets that direction a lot, I think. So the squibs are these little explosive packs, and there's wires that go down your leg, and it goes to a guy with a switchboard, and he fires off the squibs. Well, you're supposed to wear a wetsuit. But they didn't have a wetsuit for me, so I had to wear
Oh, my God.
just these things next to my skin, and right there where they lit me up with like 30 of them,
Yeah.
it was so
Did you have welts and
full
stuff?
painful. They were
man.
like, dude, we don't have the wetsuit, but this is what the stuntmen do. Like, you gotta, and I was like, fuck it, it's rock and roll. Had a few shots, just said, bring it on.
Good for you. It is rock and roll. That's what you do.
Yeah, it was a great
and
time.
that was the end of the video right there. That was real nice.
Thank you.
That was real nice.
It was wild to shoot. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
wild. I thought it was really cool. There was supposed to be cooler shit. Like I was supposed to be hanging off the front of a car at one point. And somebody must have thought that was too much of a liability to pull that off.
Well, you're a stuntman, so
I'm
it's
like, I'm
no
gonna be a
problem. No prob, Bob. So but you're still living in Kansas City at the time.
Yeah, I was living in Kansas City, and then we did that record. We went out on tour to support it. Toured with some great bands.
Who'd you open up for?
Volbeat, Black Label
Oh,
Society.
hey, Volbeat back in the day.
Volbeat.
Oh man.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Okay, keep going. Who
They
else?
were headlining, and it was us and it was like a superstar band of Scott Ian and
Velvet Revolver.
the Damn Things. Was it the Damn
okay.
Things?
Dang it.
Yeah, Volbeat, the Damn Things, and us. But yeah, man, we went out with Godsmack. Seven Dust was the first band to take us out. Those guys are the shit. Then we went out with Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, 30 Seconds to Mars.
Dude.
Those shows were wild.
Jared Leto, right?
Jared Leto's the singer.
Jared Leto, pre-Joker Jared Leto as well.
Yeah, and the first record they did was killer. And the second record had a couple of them. I don't even listen to the new shit.
Did you get to interact with Jared Leto
Yeah.
at all? Was it just like, did they keep you separate, or was it like everybody just kind of hanging out, mingling backstage, or was it just kind of free for all?
It was kind of free for all. Like there was no, official backstage kind of green room area. The buses
Wasn't
were kind
like Sammy Hagar are not allowed to be in the same room as David Lee Roth.
No.
You could have access. You could have access to Jared Leto.
What was crazy is I do remember that all of their techs that worked for the band, sound guys, guitar techs, everybody, they all would just come to our bus because they're like, we can't stand being on that fucking bus. Like, you guys are cool. That's just, I don't know what was going on over there.
They never said like what the deal was, just like a vibe.
It's just a vibe, like a kind of not a happy vibe, or I don't know.
Hey,
what
bands.
the deal was. Yeah, maybe maybe Biggie goes, I don't know, but we hung out. They all came to our bus.
Well, that's cool though.
Well, but that's not cool. Jared Leto. It's just the rest, the crew, the road
crew, yeah,
but not like Jared Leto.
No,
coming.
I think he might have been, the root of that problem.
The drummer had the better weed, or whatever.
Well, they're brothers. Jared and the drummer are brothers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
so
I'm not overly familiar with.
I was talking about your drummer.
My drummer.
Hands in the Pants guy had better weed than the Leto.
Well, it probably
Leto brothers,
too.
whatever.
The Leto brothers.
Whatever.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. And then that guy goes on to win an Oscar, and now I think they're kind of turned against him a little bit. Doesn't it feel like it? I don't know.
This isn't about
cool.
Jared Leto. This is about Patrick McBride. So let's steer it back.
Fucking Kansas City,
Let's
bro.
steer it back.
So
I mean, no. If you had any good stories of you directly interacting with Jared, then
no, I
that's,
don't. I don't have any great
like you
stories
just like you
about
just
that.
said like, hey, I'm Patrick. Good to meet you, and that was the beginning and end of it, basically. Or
no. I'm trying to think of a funny one. Lejean from Seven Dust, he was cool because
And he's a Kansas City guy.
And he wasn't at the time, but he was dating that girl from Lawrence, and I saw him between the buses. I'm like, dude, I shook his hand. I'm like, thank you so much for giving us a chance and bringing. Man, this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to us, man. Love you guys, love your music, your voices. Just telling him how I feel, and he just turns to me, he goes, oh, it's all good, man. He goes, come on back to the bus, we'll have a milkshake. Because they had this old 50s Fonzie bus, and it had the old milkshake making machine on it. Apparently,
And they've been around for a while.
God, it's amazing.
Yeah,
that they're still doing good. Well, the music is so real. Like when you see a show, and you see a whole sea of people just bouncing up and down, you can feel the floor moving underneath your feet because the music just does that to them. And then that guy, Lejean's voice is so soulful.
Yeah,
It's fucking
well, you've been there.
powerful.
Yeah.
There's something to watch, man.
wait, here's the important question: how was that milkshake? How was it? I mean, was it?
Yeah, it was a fantastic milkshake.
What flavor?
Actually, that was just Lejean's code. He's like, you want to have a milkshake?
And before you knew it, your drummer had his hands in pants. What's the biggest venue that you've played here in Kansas City? We were when we came here, 30 Seconds to Mars played Rockfest, and we didn't. Oh.
Right? We didn't, because nobody fucking knew who we were.
Mm-hmm.
But, we played arenas with Godsmack, right? Wow. Arenas with them. Theaters with Breaking Benjamin, and more theaters kind of as we went on, but fucking arenas. It was dope. Yeah. But they didn't come to Kansas City on that tour.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah, that was a sick tour.
I've seen Breaking Benjamin. I've seen Godsmack.
Yeah.
Is Godsmack the Corey Taylor?
No, that's Slipknot.
Slipknot,
okay.
Yeah, Godsmack. I mean, dude, they had 8 tour buses. They had one bus that was just a catering bus. So instead of bunks, it was fridges. And then they had the fan bus that they sent to the radio station.
That's like Taylor Swift level stuff.
The band had their own, Sully had his own bus, and then it was insane. And the pyro, they had walls of pyro, and at one point a door opens, a trap door, and a drum kit comes out on wheels and slides over, and then Sully and Shannon Larkin have a dual drum battle on stage.
Seen that, yeah.
And then the kit slides back, and it's just like the amount of production was crazy.
How did audiences accept you guys? How was that?
Man, it was hit or miss. Like you come out there to a sea of crossed arms. If they're paying, people are mulling around, and some people are listening, and we're getting in place for Godsmack. I just tried to do it justice
I'm sure you did.
We rehearsed hard, and like we just tried to make those songs sound just, like the record but better, and I'm trying to work the stage, but yeah, I mean, we were winning people over and we were doing great. And I remember the tour manager saying to us, like, you guys are going to be playing arenas in a year, but we never got that top 3 hit with active rock that you need to be put on the map. You got to have that hit,
Yeah.
So we didn't have that. We were just kind of doing our own thing, which was cool in a way. But the next record we did, you could tell that there was a hit trying to be carved out of the band. And the people that were really into us kind of were like, these guys are fucking just selling out, and what's going on? Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. I think if we would have stuck to that first record, we had a guy from Denmark doing electronics, 2 of us 3 of us in Boston. It sounded cool. They were into Korn and shit, and I was into Nails and Depeche Mode, and Michael was into EDM and trance. And when you put it all together, the Boston guys were hardcore, death metal guys. Mm-hmm. So you put that all together, and it was really kind of cool. It was very refreshing in a way, and we had no rules. But that next time, it's like, guys, we're spending a lot of money. You need a hit.
Right. Yeah.
And this is the predicament all artists go through. And then, the flip side of that is if you do write a hit, right, you're going to keep trying to redo that because that's what made you the money. So you're not going to go out of the box and change the sound of the band or do anything intellectually creative. You just try to make 10 more of those. Right?
Yeah.
Retirement and houses to pay for, and
sustainability.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off.
If that was the 80s, like they printed their own money. How much money you want this week, Tommy Lee?
Yes.
Would you like to buy a jet? That shit doesn't happen anymore.
Did.
I'm not talking Taylor Swift. I'm talking the rock bands that are around. Nobody's balling like that today.
Right.
I don't think.
Right. What's your favorite song to sing?
Wow.
Cover song.
God, that's a really good question. I have to say I do a pretty damn good Bowie on Let's Dance.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't think I'd ever seen that until just this last Zero show.
I do a pretty good Bowie. I don't know. I did a lot of shit with Rock Show that was varied from some 90s stuff like the Toadies and
okay.
We did I think we even did
well, no. Let's kind of wrap up Hourcast. So you're in this band, you had a record label, you were on salary, you made these Hollywood produced music videos.
Yes.
I mean, what about what happened at the end? I mean, did it just fizzle out? Was there like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you? Or was it just like, hey, I haven't talked, just suddenly you just kind of wake up and realize you haven't talked to anybody in 6 months? I mean, what's the end? What did that feel like?
Well, I couldn't say I didn't kind of see it coming because I knew how much had been spent on the records, the touring, the videos, the
and that's the record
photos.
label. Yeah, that's the record label putting it up.
You as a photographer, we did a photo shoot that was $20,000 photo shoot
with
that was
Joshua
just a few
Hoffing,
hours.
and that was a fantastic photo, by the way.
Yeah, we did. He built a whole set, and then we did another one in LA with Dean Carr, who is a fantastic rock and roll photographer. And that was 20-some grand photo shoot, trailer, staff all day.
Meanwhile,
we lit a
I can't
piano
get bands to pay me $500. No, anyway.
We lit Dean Carr's like, we're going under the bridge in L.A. down in, kind of near Skid Row. They brought a grand piano.
This is the photo that Josh...
That's pretty dope, huh? Yeah, that's sick.
He's used that set in other photos, too, by the way.
Man, look at you, dude.
You know what killed me about that? No, total love for Joshua, but what killed me is he got paid a lot of money. He built this set, told us all about it, kind of said we're good. We're like sick. He gets us all in position. He gets the lights ready. He gets whatever. Sets up his tripod. He's looking at his camera and he goes, click. Okay, that's it. We're done.
That's what he's known for.
That's what he did.
That's what he's known for. No.
Okay.
I've talked to I've talked to other people that have appeared in his photos, and it's all this pomp and circumstance where you get set up, you get dressed, you're ready for it, and then all of a sudden click, all right, we're done.
I was like,
I could never do that.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I could never do that.
And I think the guys in the band were pissed because, some of them didn't like the way they were positioned.
That picture right there?
Yeah.
That was one take, and that's
one
it.
picture.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was...
And that's a set that he built. I mean, his studio in the Crossroads, he just would build...
that was in the Crossroads.
Yeah,
So I'm actually on my knees. I'm on my knees.
Okay.
And that's like a 2-foot riser off the ground. So I'm kneeling on a pillow. And, it's just high enough to make me look like I'm popping out.
So he's used that set in other photos. Yeah, he builds the sets. He just does it himself. Him and his friends.
So you got a guy from LA, photographer, coming in Kansas City.
No, Joshua's Hoffman.
Joshua's here.
That photo in particular,
okay.
Joshua is based in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And then the other photographer in LA is a separate guy.
But that's still Hourcast.
Yeah,
in
still
that
Hourcast.
photo.
Funny thing about Dean Carr, and I was going into it earlier, his idea was, we're going to get a grand piano because he heard a track where a piano kind of leads on Hourcast. First single off the first record. And so he got inspired by this piano. So he's like, what we're going to do is we're bringing it down to L.A., down by Skid Row, underneath the bridge. We're going to take this grand piano, man. We're going to fucking light it on fire. You guys are going to be going at it with chainsaws and shit. So they show up with a fucking grand piano, all these chainsaws. And what they do is they pour rubber cement all on the inside of this piano, all around the edges, and they light it on fire. And this thing goes up fast, like rubber cement goes up fast. So we're all like posing by this burning piano. Meanwhile, my back is like 250 degrees. This fucking thing. All of us are like, dude, this sucks. Man. And he's clicking pictures away. He's like, quit. He's like, shut up, pussies. Fuck, stay in there.
Get the fucking chainsaws.
So then he's like, the flames are coming up good. Get the chainsaws. Bring in the chainsaws. God. And they show up, and we all look at the chainsaws, and we're like, these are fucking gas-powered chainsaws. So, a few of the guys that started them up, and then somebody had the brilliant idea to say, this is a really bad idea to use rubber cement and gas-filled chainsaws. Like, this is a really bad idea. And so the chainsaws got ixnayed.
Oh, dang it. I thought maybe they...
Yeah. Well... banned with the first, third degree burn victim.
It was the 2000s.
I can't find that photo in particular. I'm doing a Google search, but I'm not able to find that particular photo. I'm trying to do I'm trying to narrow the keyword search, but it's like
flaming
Hourcast band piano.
I'll find it for you. Yeah.
What was it? A baby grand?
It's a baby grand. Yep. Oh, it's out there.
No, it's just live photos. There's a shot of you on a couch with the guys.
There's a shot of a drummer with his hands down his pants.
I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
All right, just send it to me and I'll B-roll it.
Yeah, it's there. But yeah, it's a sick photo. Like, wow. Very cool. And that was all real effects, nothing, CG or...
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it was fucking dope.
That's a good story.
I mean, yeah, Dean Carr was a wild man.
So, yeah, you sort of... So at the end, I mean, it ends in about 2012.
2012-ish.
And you just kind of saw it coming. It was just one of those.
Yeah, everything was falling apart. Got divorced. The band wasn't, as I said, never got that first, top kind of hitting song that The Rock would spin on every, like they do.
I know that story. I hear that story so many times with Outhouse with Sean and Brad and Bill. They kind of had that same thing. They opened and toured with Kiss back in the day, and they had. I think they did. They have an MTV video.
Yeah,
well,
they did.
Welcome?
I was at both. I was at the Kiss show, and I was actually my daughter and I were in the video.
Sick.
Really?
Yes,
sick.
The Hurricane. It wasn't even right room back then. And, hey, you know what? It's background. Look, I'm also in an episode of Fear Factor. So
is that right?
Crowd effort. I was in the fucking crowd.
So your bros with Joe.
But that goes in my bio.
Yeah, but so many bands, especially musicians from Kansas City, I hear that story like so close but not quite. There's just the way, and it's just sort of like, but it illustrates, I think, I think probably the experience of probably 99% of aspiring musicians and singers is they get so close. They don't quite get there, and then they just go back to life.
Do you guys think
that's
that
all right? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Kansas City has anything to do with that?
No, I do. Okay. I do not, because I mean, look at Puddle of Mud.
All right, yeah, no, fair
you
point.
Know, but again, like
or Slipknot from Des Moines,
I mean, what I can tell you guys from what I experienced, you can take all the money in the world, the best producers, the best mixers. I mean, and you can even have a great song. But if the timing isn't right, if the public isn't ready for it, I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I think the problem with Hourcast was, instead of doing what we originally wanted to do, which is kind of our own thing and stay with that, we got caught into the trap of, well, what are these other bands doing? And this is what's hitting on radio. And you got people in your ear going, you need a fucking sound, do this. And, these are the band, you always got people telling you what they think you should do. And, you get caught in that kind of trying to chase it. And then at that point, you're too late. Like if, what's the old adage? If you want to shoot a moving target, you have to aim slightly ahead,
Yeah.
Because if you aim right at where you're supposed to hit, by the time it's going to pass you by.
Right.
The same thing with that. I felt like we were just riding this kind of hardcore / emo thing. Those bands like Godsmack were just coming up, and they were already on their whatever album. They were kind of on their way down.
Yeah. Right.
So when you're starting to come in with a sound that's similar to that, you're behind the eight. People are moving on already.
Good point. That's a really
good
point.
And I think like it was just too much of the same sound too late in the game. That's my, if I really, after all these years, sit back and reflect, it's like, yeah, because I listen to the songs and I have some people tell me to this day, like the other day, my buddy's like, dude, Eden Shakes, the lyrics, fuck, those are brilliant, dude. That song, like, why did you? And I'm just like, a lot of times when you get that one-hit wonder, and especially even today, like the one-hit wonders, there's albums dedicated to them, right? But like the one-hit wonders of today, they're going to be forgotten in a year. Right. They'll never be But my point is, what those guys do a lot is they'll get the recognition they want, and then they start going laterally.
But I think what's really interesting is what do you do after that? What happens in life after the big moment, or you had Hourcast, you had those videos, you came close, because that's the story that nobody really, because the stereotype is, and then he ended up in the gutter, he lived a miserable life. His life was worthless after that. But that's not true, because people, not just you, but I'm thinking of Sean and Brad and Bill.
And you kept it Kansas City.
From Outhouse, and they
KC, man.
in each of their cases in particular, and your case, you just made a life out of it. You started, whether you started businesses or got into companies, and like you've gone on to live a successful life that's not defined by pop music, by being the biggest music this or that. And that's what I find more intriguing is you took your shot, and now you're back to just living regular life, and there's nothing wrong with that.
A lot, working at big dudes and Mars, you learn some things about the industry and such, and that's applicable in other parts.
Yeah. So I ran into you guys know Nick from he sang at Purple Jam. Did Dave Grohl.
I not offhand.
Do you know Nick?
Yeah, he's a young guy, right?
Yeah.
Long hair, beard.
Cowardly Lions. Is that the band?
Yeah. Nick Marshall.
Hey.
Nick Marshall.
Nick Marshall of the Cowardly Lions.
We should have him on sometime.
We'll add him to the list.
He should. He'd be cool. But it's wild at Purple Jam. He said to me, and we had said hi to one another, and in passing and stuff, and I respected him as a singer. But he was like, backstage at Purple Jam, he goes, "Hey man, you never told me that, my friend Sean, he's like a big fan of your band." And he goes,
"You mean Rock Show?"
Yeah. Yeah. And he goes, you never even mentioned that you were even in a band. And I was like, yeah, I don't talk. I don't bring it up usually. And he goes, "That's so fucking cool."
It is cool.
Is it? I don't know. But I can say that it was a wild time. I had a lot of time and a lot of identity sucked into that. The most important thing was I met my wife, Julie, who,
there you go.
Like, for the first time, she didn't care what I did for a living or really how much money I was bringing home. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She's like, you're going to be fine. Whatever, you're going to figure it out. You're going to be fine. You're a smart guy. You're going to do whatever.
You are, man. Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, man. I had so much sucked into this. So she just kind of let me get my space. And I started kind of doing video, but then I was doing AV stuff. And then I bought this shitty, or actually I didn't buy anything. My dad bought a shitty drone from like Sharper Image.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like, how did the whole? I remember that. I think I remember like when we first started to get to know each other, and you just got the first. There's like they're on DJI Inspire 3, and I think it was the DJI Inspire 1. Remember when you failed to connect the rotor and it flipped?
How can I forget?
But then I remember you actually got the original. Was that the one that your dad bought you? Was that one styrofoam?
It was styrofoam, and he's like, he calls me. He's like, Patrick, I bought a drone, because he had a real estate brokerage, and he's like, I'm going to use it to inspect the roofs,
That's
up
good
here
idea.
in Minnesota.
Farmers does
But
that.
the thing's made out of freaking styrofoam, and
That's
was
crazy.
The camera
I
sucked.
assume they don't make them.
It looked like it looked like if Johnny Burns directed a movie, that's what the camera would look like.
You know what? On his original cell phone. Dang it! See,
show me some video. Send me some video.
I went the wrong.
There you go.
So yeah, he gave me the drone, and I was like, "This is pretty cool," because I loved flight, and I had my private pilot's license and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So you already had a pilot license before, so that was a background that reinforced.
Wanted to fly airplanes.
Kick ass to get.
Well, that's great.
License. So I love to fly, and this kept me to be on. But I decided to, just like doing with this heavy lifter, I was like, I'm just gonna buy a good one. And just see what
heavy
happens.
Lifter being the
new one that's coming.
The new one we talked about upstairs off camera.
Drone, heavy lifter drone, right?
Where you would connect an actual full size camera to the drone instead of a built-in camera on most drones.
We'll get to that, but like it was the first Inspire, I think, in town. And Brian was there for the maiden voyage, and it flipped on its back.
He didn't properly connect one of the rotors to. There's 4 rotors. Off. The drone, there's 4 rotors, but one of them he didn't snap it down. So when he launched it, that rotor, because it wasn't connected, fell off, and it was off balance. So it flipped and landed on its back, 10 feet away.
Yeah,
already had a scar.
Yes,
bummer.
And
but it held together.
That was 2015.
That was
good.
Because that was 2015. Because that was prior to a wedding.
Oh my gosh, 2015.
Yeah,
they didn't even have internet back then.
April of 2015. It was all Morse code.
That's great.
I met Brian.
I shot your reception in 20.
I
shot your last gig, as it turned out, as a full-time member of Rock Show in May of 2014.
Yep.
And then I shot your reception in July of 2014.
Yeah.
And then the drone that we're talking about was April of 2015.
Right.
Do you do any gigs for Rock Show? They ever ask you back for anything?
If I went back, they'd let me sit in on a couple.
No problem.
And I've done it before.
We're still trying to connect on a publicity photo.
Once at a blue moon, they come through Kansas City. Right?
Rock Show?
No, Rock Show's a local cover band.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Rock Show is a local cover band.
Steve Christie, David Dahmer, Tim McFadden.
He doesn't know any of these names.
Chris
No.
Fowler.
No idea.
Legends. Anne Marie, her voice
I
is
just
sick.
moved. Anne Marie,
she's
that's
so
my
good.
own. No. I just moved to Kansas City, so I have no idea about what you're talking about. Your technology, it frightens me.
So anyways, drones. So we bought the drone, and then I started working, just going to real estate offices, because that seemed like the perfect place to bring it. And it was like I couldn't make enough money. I could charge whatever, and they were paying it hand over fist, and we were kicking ass and getting big. I'm proud of what I've built. It's been really cool. I didn't even think that was going to happen after where I kind of came from. But it happened my wife's like, the department wants to do some aerial stuff. They're doing a human breast cancer ribbon in the parking lot. And so I brought my styrofoam drone and I found a way to glue a GoPro to the bottom of it.
Oh, okay.
And I brought it out, and there's 300 people in a human ribbon, and I put up my cheesy little drone to try to get some video. And then here comes Johnny Rollins and News Chopper 4.
Oh, my God.
Pulling in with his spotlight to get his morning open shot. Knocks my poor little bird out of the air.
That son of a bitch.
The prop wash just sent it careening, and it crashed to its death. Dude. It was beyond repair, and so that's when I bought the Inspire that Brian and I started with.
Went non-styrofoam.
Non-styrofoam, a good one.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. Brian and I were a powerful combo. I think it's a lot to do with the hair.
You know what?
We overwhelm people with hair. You know, be perfect. If we had
this demands an audience.
Oh my God!
We overwhelm them with the power of the hair.
You guys have very similar hairstyles.
And if
I think that landed us at least one high-profile client. Remember Signature Psychiatric?
Because
she commented. We went in.
You guys have hairstyles of crazy people.
I remember we went in for this interview with Signature Psychiatric, which was for veterans, and. And I brought Patrick in to help me because, not just the drone stuff, but just the full-on video production of interviews and stuff. And, it's always good to bring it. I always feel like a lot of times it's good to have two people that can complement each other. Yeah. As far as, like, somebody says something and Patrick's a really good lead on that. And then I'll, like, chime in, and that I usually have a knack for chiming in at the right moment with the right thing.
The perfect devil's advocate to be like
just to kind of direct something, and then
it's nice.
And I just remember as we're talking, what was her name? I can't remember her name offhand, but she was great, and she just stopped and she commented, "Oh my God, you guys just have such great hair," and I have a feeling that was like 90% of the reason why we got the gig to this day.
Missouri has passed this film tax credit thing here, which Atlanta has had for a number of years, and there's been a lot of things filmed in Georgia. Well, Missouri has been, people have been lobbying for it, and it's finally been passed. And basically what it means is that companies that come here are going to get major tax incentives to film their productions here in Kansas City. That's been a big reason why they haven't. Not only that, but the airports and things like that. So you can see we're kind of moving to try to be a little more up on things.
Modern, as they say.
And the new airport's a big piece of that.
And then the new baseball stadium proposals that they're talking about.
Sure.
So anyways, what I'm doing is I'm buying a heavy lift drone to work. The first job it's going to do is a production for a feature called The Others, which is directed by Chris Durr, written and directed by Chris Durr. And he wants to have this UFO effect as a practical effect rather than VFX. So I got a call saying, what drone can carry a 30-pound cinema light? And I looked and I did some research, and I'm like, this one will do it. And it also carries big cinema cameras as well. Wow. And I don't believe there's another heavy lifter between here and Chicago. So I went all in.
Yeah, that's the critical thing, is to kind of get your foot in the door ahead of everybody else, that you become known as the guy that has this before everybody else, before somebody else comes along and decides to, maybe somebody comes in from LA and like, hey, I have this,
Right.
That's the key. Yeah.
There's a lot, I say to people all the time, the drone is just a tool. It's like a hammer. I see these people post and they're like, I'm going to start a drone business. I'm just going to go buy one. And it's like, well, that isn't good enough, because the drone does a lot of shit. Like, it can take photography. It can do thermal inspections. It can do search and rescue. It does all these things. So it's like, what industry do you want to be in? It's like buying a hammer and saying, I'm going to be a contractor now. There's a lot of things you could do with that hammer. Yeah. It's just a tool, and the drone is the same thing. Right. And I found that I enjoy creativity more so than like a roof inspection or a crop. You can even look at crops and spray them with drones, and you can see the crop health, and there's so many things you can do with it. But I like creativity, so I want to stay in that kind of cinema world. And, there's a huge, lot of talent in Kansas City, musically and visually.
Yes.
And now I'm kind of tying in with these guys with a tool that they can use, and hopefully other companies can use. It's kind of like buying that Inspire 1 the first time, like I was early to it, and this may or may not take, but it's kind of fun. this is just the direction I feel I want to go in my heart.
You got to go by gut, and you fucking got to put the money out there too, bro.
I love doing creative productions, and I would love to see our stuff
You are
on TV.
a creative dude. Yes.
You know? And every time I see a drone shot on TV, I'm like, damn it, I could have, should have. I can say that all the I'm so lucky to get up with the guys that let me get up and jam with them, and because they're all fucking amazing. And I that's just kind of how I get my jollies. Like, I'm happily married. I got a fantastic 3-year-old son now.
Yeah.
It's cool because I think had this happened to me when I was doing Hourcast, I would not have been the dad that I am, and I don't know shit. I'm all the time I'm learning shit that I'm doing wrong, but you know, I'm just gonna be there for the kid, and since I can be home and not touring and try to have my arms around the fucking world, you know, I can just focus on being a good dad and just enjoying my son, watching him grow up in these important times. You know, I get to pick the shoots I want to do and the ones I don't, which is huge. Got a great life. So I got that going on, and I'm not the musician. I'll always be a singer, and that's why I get blessed with those opportunities to get up with the Zeros or Rock Show or whoever. And just for 10 minutes, I get to kind of be back to who I was and
in your 20s,
20s and 30s and into my 40s. Well, you know, 40 is kind of where it cut off, but did it for a long time, so I reconnect with that part of myself again, and it's just enough. I feel good again. I'm like, I can still sing.
You're
like
a talented guy.
Thanks, man.
You so are.
And with that, we're going to wrap up our inaugural podcast. Patrick McBride, do you have any social media for people to follow you? That's what they all want to know.
So these days, it's droneondemand.com for anything that's drone or video related.
Drone on Demand KC on Instagram, isn't that correct?
On Instagram, that's right, and Facebook. But Hourcast, all of our records are on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes.
I'm going to follow that shit. I'm going to start playing that.
Yeah, Pandora, Spotify. I got a royalty check last week. Let me tell you. I told Julie, I'm like, we're going to McDonald's tonight. Like, we are going, or maybe someplace nice like the Olive Garden, like going on 95th that smells like a fucking old moldy shoe. We'll go to that
95th
one.
95th and Metcalf?
Dude.
Yes.
I know
that place is just a shithole.
I've taken dates there back in the
They probably didn't
90s.
end well, did they?
It never does.
It never does at the Olive Garden.
No.
Fuck. Yeah, it was but yeah, dude, it's so I got those. I got that going for me, which is nice.
You got a lot going for you.
Yep. And you know, hundreds of dollars a year with this music shit.
Love you, man.
Love you guys
Ladies
too. Thank you for letting me be here.
gentlemen.
You're the best.
Thank you for sticking with us for
Bye-bye,
our
night,
inaugural podcast at
There you
Kansas
go.
City Nights.
Brian Rice. How about we do another one?
Shannon
bro?
Gieber with our first guest, Patrick McBride. Thank you very much, Patrick.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me, guys.
See you next time.